Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to take a look at inversions. I know some of you guys are still having a little bit of difficulty with inversions, so I wanted to take the opportunity to review some of the key elements of inversions. So a negative adverbial is one of the key signals that you have to use an inversion, right? So the following is a list of some common negative adverbials. So here's a list. You can also find a more extensive list on page 168 in your books. So take a look at that list and get familiar with some of these negative adverbials. So I'm going to take you through a step-by-step way to create sentences using inversions. So the original sentence reads, I rarely eat junk. Okay, as you can see, the word rarely is between the subject and the verb. For inversions, we have to change the structure of the sentence. So the first thing we do is take the word rarely and put it at the start of the sentence. That's what we need to start an inversion, a negative adverbial at the start of the sentence. For step 2, it's really important that we identify which tense we're going to use. Is it the present, the past, the future, or the perfect tense? Because this is going to determine how we're going to change our sentence. In this example, the sentence is clearly in the present tense. So this is what we're going to use as our base to construct our inversion. Inversions look very similar to questions. In fact, inversions borrow the question structure. So that's why our step number 3 is using the negative adverbial rarely plus the question structure in the correct tense. In this case, it would be the present tense. As you can see, we add the auxiliary verb do and we invert the subject and the verb. So we end up with the sentence, rarely do I eat junk food. Remember, we use the words do or does to create the question structure in the present tense. That's why we use do in this case. Let's take a look at this other example. John will never arrive on time. So here we can easily identify the negative adverbial as the word never. So let's go through our steps. First, we put the word never at the start of the sentence because that's key to creating our inversion. In this case, the word will shows us that this is the future tense. So in this case, we don't need do or does because we can use the word will to continue with our inversion. So we end up with the sentence reading, never will John arrive on time. Again, never goes at the start of the sentence, and will John arrive is our inversion. Let's take a look at another common example. It says here, he knew little about their plan. Let's take a look at how we convert this into an inversion. So we put the negative adverbial at the start. In this case, it would be the word little. Here you can also see that knew shows us that this sentence is in the past tense. Because we're working with the past tense in this case, we use the auxiliary verb did to create the inversion. Little did he know about their plan. Remember, the reason we use did is because normally for question structures in the past, we need the word did. Now that we've seen some of the more common examples, let's take a look at some of the exceptions or some of the varying cases of inversions. Let's read the example here. Not until you finish your homework can you eat. As you can see, the inversion doesn't come directly after the negative adverbial, but it comes later on in the sentence. Let's take a look at the breakdown. With phrases like not until and only when, The inversion comes after the completion of the first clause. The first clauses in these cases are not until you finish or only when he arrives. So think of these as delayed inversions. They're still inversions, but they come later on in the sentence. For conditionals, inversions can be used to make it sound even more formal. Let's take a look at the first conditional. Here it reads, if the situation gets worse, we'll have more virtual classes. For the first conditional, we replace the word if with the word should. So the sentence reads, should the situation get worse, we'll have more virtual classes. The second conditional, for sentences like this, if I were you, I would ask for help. We change this by eliminating the word if and creating our inversion like the following. Were I you, I would ask for help. As you guys can see, we remove the word if completely in this case and start our sentence with the word were. Were I you? Let's take a look at the third conditional. If I had known, I would have called you. In this case, we simply get rid of the word if so that we end up with the following sentence. Had I known, I would have called you. So again, we just remove the word if and we create our inversion with the word had plus the subject and the past participle. Guys, inversions are tough. I know that sometimes it takes a lot of practice, so stick with it. Don't get frustrated. A lot of this is just review of stuff that we've done before. So hopefully you guys are reviewing the question structure of the present, the past, the future, perfect tenses, so that it's a little bit easier to create your inversions. But stick with it, guys. Try the following questions, and hopefully this video helped clear up some doubts that you guys might have had about inversions.